I was privileged to start my practice under Sri Sahai. I have learned many things from him, and amongst them, the most important would be that he is a soft-spoken man and he does not get carried away in the most compelling circumstances. This is the most important lesson that I have learned from him. Sri Sahai remained a standing counsel for the then state, Bihar State Electricity Board from 93 to 96, and in due appreciation of his hard work and integrity, the then state of Bihar appointed him as a standing counsel. In the year 1991, he continued in this post even after reorganization of the state. Please mute kar le. In the year 1999, and he continued in this post even after reorganization of the state. Shiv Kumar ji, please mute kar le apna mic. Shiv Kumar ji, please don't disturb. In fact, the state of Jharkhand also honored him by appointing him as senior standing counsel for the state in the year 2002, and he continued on that post till the year 2008. Sri Sahai has acquired vast experience in civil law, including CNT Act, SPT Act, Panchayati Raj, municipal laws, mining laws, service law, among other things. He has appeared for
Mr. Raj, switch on your mic, sir. Switch on your mic, Mr. Roy.
Sorry. Sri Sahai has acquired vast experience in civil laws, including CNT, SPT Act, Panchayati Raj, municipal laws, and service law, contract law, and arbitration law. He has appeared for DVC, MMTC, and CCL, among other corporate clients. The most important case, which I would remember him conducting in the Jharkhand High Court, would be the Parasar Hill case, which continued for years together. He has appeared for private side and individual and corporate clients. He has rendered free legal service to the downtrodden section of the population. He has conducted orientation classes of additional district judges, municipal trainees, and jail superintendents. In recognition of his vast experience, the Honorable Jharkhand High Court has designated him as a senior advocate in the year 2015. Now, I will not take much of your time. I would now invite Sri Sahai to speak on the subject, which has already been introduced by Sri Rahul Sabhu. Thank you. Sir, Sri Sahai sir.
Sir, please kindly sir, address sir.
Respected seniors, my friends, I have been privileged to have been asked by Mr. Rahul Sabhu, a young and dynamic advocate practicing with us in the Honorable High Court of Jharkhand at Ranchi, to address the webinar held by Jharkhand Legal Literacy Forum, which has been a work of Mr. Sabhu to keep us busy, at least through webinars. Today's topic is Anti-Defection Laws, Schedule 10 of the Constitution of India. I also like to extend my thanks to Mr. Mrinal Kanti Rai, Advocate Jharkhand High Court, who by his gracious words have introduced me today in this webinar. Thank you, Mr. Mrinal. I also express my gratitude to all the learned participants in today's webinar for providing me encouragement and support to deliver this speech. Defection laws, as the name speaks, was introduced by 10th schedule by the 52nd amendment of the Constitution of India in 1985. The framers of the Constitution had visualized a multi-party democratic system. And 1952, the first election was held and it continued till 1967. But thereafter, the fervor of the constitutionalism through which the government was expected to work started eroding away. The framers of the Constitution had never visualized that a person who will be made candidate and would contest the election on a seat of a particular party would, for his personal gains, shift the allegiance to another party to come and keep in executive power and to get the benefits of it, although the political party which on the party symbol of which he was elected was a different party. So much so that in 1967, in the Haryana Legislative Assembly, a learned member named Gayalal changed his allegiance 3 times in one day. Some say he changed his allegiance 6 times and some say 9 times. And in those days, Mr. Y.V. Chavan, the minister in the Indian cabinet, named him, he is not Gayaram, he is Ayaram Gayalal. Ayalal Gayalal, Ayaram Gayaram. And since then, this phrase is being used for such MLAs who are crossing the party lines. And therefore, the 52nd Amendment was brought to the Constitution of India and Schedule 10 was introduced in the Constitution with a view to curb the floor crossing. It is a very small bill which was introduced and the amendment was made. It is a very small bill having only 8 paragraphs. The important is paragraph 2 that deals with the disqualification. This amendment is in the line with Article 102 of the Constitution of India, and the state part is taken care of under Article, I think, 191. So, the disqualification part, which was earlier visualized, as I have said, by the framers of the Constitution, did not contain the disqualification by way of defection. This defection was brought into by the 10th schedule. Under paragraph 2 of the 10th schedule, 2 grounds were taken to be the important factors for bringing this 52nd Amendment. One was, if a legislator in place of member of the House, I want to use it as legislator. If the legislator voluntarily gives up membership of his original political party, then he would be deemed to be a defector, and that will be a kind of disqualification, and he shall not remain member of the house on that ground. The other ground mentioned in paragraph 2 is under para 2(1)(a), and now I am dealing para 2(1)(b), that if he abstains from voting or votes for some person against the party line, then he would stand declared as a disqualified person to continue in the house, and he will be disqualified for as an MLA or MP, as the case may be, or the member of the council. In the case of Kanhaiya Lal Omar versus R.K. Trivedi, the Honorable Supreme Court held that in the 10th schedule presupposes that in India we are having a multi-party democratic system in this parliamentary form of government. So, if the party line is crossed without the consent of the party, then he would stand disqualified. Then the speaker was given the power and jurisdiction to decide the complaints with regard to a member who is alleged to have committed defection on the above grounds as mentioned in paragraph 2(1)(a) and 2(1)(b). Now, one thing I missed to state, that if a person has voted or abstained from voting, and if he has not been condoned by the authorized person of the party, he will be declared as a disqualified person on the ground of defection. Now, in speaker's power, in the case of Quixota Holohan reported in 1993, AIR 1993 Supreme Court, page 412, the Honorable Supreme Court held that qua time decision of the speaker, no court would entertain a application for judicial review, and therefore the experience has been that the delay has been caused by the speaker, and the courts have always been reluctant and have not accepted any application before the final decision of the speaker. It was expected of the speaker by the lawmakers when the 52nd Amendment was made as to the status of the speaker would be above the party line. He will be very fair and would behave in a very impartial manner to decide this matter of defection and declaring whether it will be a disqualification of or not, as alleged in the complaint petition. But it has been experienced that the speaker, when a matter comes in which the defection had taken place in favor of the ruling party, the delay was committed, and it was to the extent to make it infructuous. And if the matter is in favor of the ruling party, within a few days or few weeks, the matter is decided by the speaker. This has been the experience since the 1985 amendment. Now, the defection case, the speaker has to decide the matter with reference to para 4 and 5 of the 10th schedule. Para 4 deals with merger, para 5 deals with the speaker. So I will come on that later on. The merger part is that if the party merges with another political party, then two things are essential. Number one, that the merger has to be agreed by 2/3 majority of the legislators. This 2/3 majority, in paragraph 4, it says that the original political party may merge with another political party, but it will be deemed to have merged if and only if 2/3 of the legislators agree for the same. And upon their agreement, they will not be disqualified to become member of another political party or a new political party which emerges upon such merger. Now, the political party, if they become member of another political party, even then they will not be disqualified because they are saved by the merger of the original political party. The MLAs who remain in the previous political party, they will be also not disqualified and they will remain members of the previous political party, or they may form a separate group, but they will be legislators and they will continue legally. Now what happens that there is a confusion in the original bill of 1985 amendment, 52nd amendment. There was one more ground of split in the party. Paragraph 3 of the 10th schedule propounded that if 1/3 of the legislators form a group, if they jointly shift to another political party, they will not stand disqualified. The experience had been more worse, that whenever the ruling party or any other party wanted to form a government, or whenever they wanted to get support of legislators, they used to entice 1/3 of any political party, and generally small political parties. Suppose there are 10 members of a political party, they would entice 1/3, 3 or 4 MLAs, and they will MLAs or MPs, and they will cross the floor and they will not stand disqualified. So, because of this vice, in 2003, another amendment, 91st Amendment of the Constitution of India, deleted the same, and that came into effect on 1/1/2004. And since then, the paragraph 3 of the Constitution, 3 of the 10th schedule became, paragraph 3 of the 10th schedule became deleted from the 10th schedule. And thereafter, only safeguard remains is para 4, that is merger, and para 5, status of the speaker upon becoming a speaker or chairman, if he resigns from his political party from which he was elected, he will not be disqualified till he is speaker. But the moment he leaves the office of his speaker or chairman, deputy speaker or deputy chairman, he will have to go to his original political party. So this is the only safeguard, two safeguards that has remained in the 10th schedule after deletion of the 91st amendment of the constitution with effect from 1/1/2004. The para 6 of the 10th schedule speaks of the decision which is to be taken by the speaker. There the Supreme Court has held that the speaker will have to decide the case of complaint of a person keeping in view the paragraph 4.1 and 4.2 of the constitution of the 10th schedule, and if he doesn't consider these things, then his decision would be rendered illegal. With regard to independent members, paragraph 2 subpara 2 has been provided in the 10th schedule that says that a independent member even cannot join a political party, and if he joins, he would be declared a defector and would be disqualified. Although a independent member can vote as per his choice, he can become even a minister in a case he is offered by the party seeking support. He can support any party to form a government. He will not be disqualified. But in case he joins a political party, he will stand disqualified. There are cases I will deal if a question is asked. The nominated member of a house, he can also be declared defector and disqualified. He can also be disqualified if he joins a political party 6 months after he takes oath. Constitution. There is one provision in the 10th schedule, that is paragraph 2 subpara 4, that deals with a situation which was prevalent, which was at the time of the commencement of the 10th schedule in 1985. So I think that matter doesn't require consideration in today's scenario, because we all know that after 5 years the time of that legislature ends. In case of Rajya Sabha and Legislative Council also, after 6 years the time is over, and since 1985 it is more than 15 years, 35 years. Sorry. Courts are closed and we are not in the habit of making long speeches, long delivery of our ideas, and that too before such a big gathering. किसको बोले? Sometimes it is said that if a person has not resigned, then what will happen from his original political party? In Ravi S. Naik versus Union of India, reported in AIR 1994 Supreme Court 1558, the Supreme Court has held that even in absence of formal resignation, by the conduct of a legislator, it can be gathered that whether he has voluntarily given up membership of his original political party or not given. The conduct of the legislator must show that he has left his political party for good by joining another political party or another group, or has allied with another political party. That will be sufficient for him to attract disqualification under paragraph 21A. Now, one question arises as to who can file an application for disqualification. The earlier this was the view of the view common in the people, that one who is a legislator himself or who is a authorized person of the party, original political party, he can only file application for disqualification before the Honorable Speaker. But subsequently, in the case of Speaker Odisha Legislative Assembly versus Utkal Kesari Parida, reported in AIR 2013 Supreme Court, page 120. I'm sorry, AIR 2013 Supreme Court, page 1181. At para 16, 17 and 19, the Honorable Supreme Court has been pleased to hold that any interested person can lodge a complaint, and the same will not be held not maintainable on the ground of locus standi. The locus standi has been enlarged to that large extent. Now, one thing I personally experienced in the case of Sri Babulal Marandi versus Speaker State of Jharkhand, that an interim order was passed, that prima facie I am satisfied that this is a case of defection. I'm sorry, I am satisfied that this is a case of merger, and therefore for the time being I allow this, and I will ask the complainant to file his detailed show cause, detailed application, and I will hear the matter at length in compliance of the principle of natural justice. A writ application was filed before the Honorable Jharkhand High Court. I can give the case number, and the Honorable Court heard the issue of maintainability for 2 days, argued by at least 2-3 learned senior advocates against me. I had argued the case of the petitioner Sri Babulal Marandi ji, the first Chief Minister of the state, and the Honorable Court on 1st July 2015 passed the order that the court is satisfied that the case is maintainable. With regard to interim order, there is no averment in the entire 10th schedule, and there is no averment regarding final order. It simply says the speaker shall take a decision. That means the speaker has to take only one decision. Whether this is a case of defection, it is not a case of defection. It cannot pass a interim order, keep a matter pending for years together, and then decide. This is nowhere it has been interpreted by any court, and in my view, in my considered opinion, the speaker can decide only once. So far as I remember, in the case of Kuldeep Bishnoi versus Speaker Haryana Legislative Assembly, Haryana Legislative Assembly reported in AIR 2013 Supreme Court page 120 has been pleased to observe at least that that the speaker is not competent to take a decision to disqualify on the ground of defection without determination under para 4 and 5, and in no uncertain terms lays down that if a question arises as to whether a member of the House has become subject to disqualification, the said question would be referred to the Speaker of such House whose decision would be final. So the Speaker has to take only one decision, and that will become final. And it will mean also that the defection cannot be decided divorced of para 4 and 5. Otherwise, the speaker would fail to decide the matter and the decision would be held to be illegal. Para 5 is very Para 5 deals with the status of the speaker. The speaker, if resigns upon becoming speaker, he resigns from his original political party, then he will not be disqualified to have resigned from his original political party. That has been given because the post of his speaker has been kept in a very high parlance, and his resigning would only show that he has shown his impartiality to the system of governance. His dignity, integrity, and high expectations from the said office has given him the opportunity and the power to resign from his original political party till he holds the office of speaker. In para 8 of the 10th schedule, there is a provision to make rules for the 10th schedule proceedings to carry on the case of defection. Now, in Dr. Mahachand Prasad Singh versus Chairman Legislative Council Bihar, that is reported in 2004, volume 8 SCC at page 747, the Honorable Court has held that rules being a delegated legislation that cannot be kept at par with the provisions of the 10th schedule, and neither it can enlarge or restrict the contents and amplitude of the relevant constitutional provisions. One thing I must say, that Honorable Court in the said case of Mahachand Prasad Singh has been pleased to hold that 10th schedule proceedings are not adversarial lists. There is a no list is against the other side. The court has to see only whether the allegation made against the legislator which is alleged, incurs disqualification on that ground or not. Now, since the speaker has to pass the order, and after the decision is taken by the speaker, in Kyoto Holohan case, the Supreme Court has held that a judicial review would be maintainable. So far my memory goes, in Kyoto Holohan case, the word used is under Article 226, 227 and to the Supreme Court. Now, I will come to it later on, where the Honorable Supreme Court has held that a review would be maintainable under Article 226. Anyway, the grounds for challenge in this judicial review would be, it has been held in Kyoto Holohan case that under the ground of ultra vires, it can be challenged. Subsequently, in Makhan Singh case, malafide was held to be a ground. Then colorable exercise of power in subsequent case, then perversity and on no evidence, and finally in the case of Ravi S. Nayak, reported in 94 Supreme Court 1558, violation of principles of natural justice was also held to be one of the ground for judicial review. So for power of review by the speaker of his own order, in the case of Kashinath G. Jalmi versus Speaker, reported in AIR 1993 Supreme Court 1873, the Supreme Court held that while functioning under 10th schedule, para 6, as a statutory authority, the Speaker has no power to review. So whatever the Speaker passes order finally, it cannot be reviewed by him. Now, friends, coming to the current gamut of the situation in Rajasthan Legislative Assembly regarding Schedule 10 involving power of a speaker, and Honorable High Court and Supreme Court, the case in the Rajasthan Legislative Assembly, rather the case in the state of Rajasthan political arena, I I would rather use the word that the political situation which has arisen in the state of Rajasthan generated writ petition in the Honorable Rajasthan High Court as well as in the Honorable Supreme Court of India, when the Honorable Speaker issued notice on some of the MLAs as to why they have not, on the allegation by a political party that their legislators, some of the legislators have are not attending the party meeting despite issuance of whip by the chief whip of the party. The mayhem was caused because few of the MLAs alleged that they were not allowed to put forth their views on the certain issues, including the leadership of the party in that state, in a particular party. A complaint was filed under paragraph 2(1)(a) of the 10th schedule by the chief whip of the said political party, and the Honorable Speaker issued show cause notices within 2 days and seeking explanation from those MLAs. This notice was challenged before the Honorable Rajasthan High Court on the grounds as to whether inner party dissent will amount to giving up membership of the political party. Then non-attending party meeting and voicing a different opinion outside the party are matters between members of their party and have nothing to do with this deeming clause under para 2(1)(a) of the 10th schedule. The next is whether the petitioners' legislators have a right to dissent against state level leadership and agitate the grievances of the people of their constituency, as this right flows from provisions of right to speech under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution of India. The constitutional validity of para 2(1)(a) of the Schedule 10 of the Constitution has been challenged, and on plain reading of some of it appears that ground for challenging the constitutional validity are whether the words voluntarily given up his membership of such political party in para 2(1)(a) of the 10th schedule take within its ambit a criticism of the chief minister or the manner of functioning of the state unit of the particular party by member of the said, by MLA of the said political party outside the house. And therefore, if it is so, then will it not be violative of the basic structure of the Constitution and the right to freedom of speech under Article 19(1)(a)? The contention of the Speaker in the Honorable Rajasthan High Court was that in view of the Quixota Holahan case, the court-timed decision of the Speaker is not permissible. That means until the Speaker takes a decision, his judicial review is not permissible. Considering these issues and submissions, the Honorable Rajasthan High Court was of considered view that the present writ is maintainable because on the ground of jurisdiction of the Speaker to issue show cause notice for a dispute within the party. In my considered view, the fundamental question arises in the said case of Mr. Sachin Pilot and others, whether the speaker can issue a notice to the legislators on difference of opinion and ideology and dispute within the party lines. And therefore, if the answer to the above question is in the affirmative, then whether it will not be violative of Article 19(1)(a), that is the basic structure of the Constitution. I may remind this August gathering that para 2(1)(a) deals with a situation when a person commits a floor crossing. In whatever word may use, that the voluntarily giving up membership of his political party, if arises, then of course an inquiry is required to hold defection to be a ground for disqualification. Now, if it is not so, then para 2(1), I think whether would attract or not. The speaker is endowed with a within a very narrow strip power within which he has to act. Issuance of notice under 2(1)(a) amounts to taking cognizance of allegations provided therein, that is, voluntarily giving up membership of his political party. In my humble view, it appears that merely disputing the decision or contradicting the decision of the other group within the party will not amount to giving up membership of the said political party. And inner party dissent would not give jurisdiction to the speaker to issue notice under para 2(1)(a) of the 10th schedule. And therefore, in my view, that is without jurisdiction. Referring to the other question, whether if issuing notice to show cause under para 2(1)(a) by the Honorable Speaker, or in view of the within party dispute, is held to be in the affirmative, then whether the said provision in the 10th schedule will be in contravention of the fundamental right enshrined under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, and then whether this provision under the 10th schedule would be virus of the same would be under challenge. In my view, as I have said, the speaker has no authority to look into the dissent of some of the MLAs within the party. I think he had no jurisdiction to issue show cause notice. Still, the matter is sub judice before the Honorable High Court, and the result will be known to us as soon as the same is declared and published. So let us see. In my view, I think that there is no contradiction between Article 19(1)(a) vis-a-vis paragraph 2(1)(a) of the 10th schedule. Now, so far, one important thing I have noted in my write-up, that earlier there was one few lines order of the Honorable Supreme Court that whether the High Court can entertain or Supreme Court can entertain a writ petition even for the ground to fix a date, fix a time limit to decide the defection matter. Now, recently in January 2020, the Honorable Supreme Court has passed an order in Kaisham Megh Chandra Singh versus Honorable Speaker, Manipur Legislative Assembly, that is reported in 2020. Supreme Court cases online. Supreme Court page 55, wherein it has been held that the Speaker shall determine the issue of disqualification under the 10th schedule within a reasonable time, with an outer limit of 3 months from the date of filing of the complaint for disqualification, or a permanent tribunal in this regard may be established by law, which will determine the issues of defection. So with these words, I want to conclude my speech on the anti-defection law and 10th schedule of the Constitution of India. Thank you all from core of my heart and for being such wonderful and patient listeners. It was indeed a privilege to address you all on this issue. I also thank my office and junior colleagues there who have helped me in preparing the present speech. Thank you all. Any question on this topic?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
I would welcome questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, R.N. Sahai, sir. You have meticulously explained in your lecture that the fundamental premise of democracy is the protection of the wishes of the people. But at the same time, political stability is essential for the progress of the country and its march forward. And thus, why this anti-defection law was brought into existence. Thank you so much, sir. Now I request the participants to kindly, if they have any query, they can ask our guest speaker and they can clear their doubts. If the participants are having any query or a question to be raised, or if they have any questions to be asked from us, from R.N. Sahai sir, they can kindly put it
Yes.
forward.
Myself, Gautam Rakesh.
Yes, please.
Yes, respected sir and august gathering. Regarding the issue that who can complain for defection, you have referred a judgment of Supreme Court.
Yes,
where
yes.
it has been held that anyone can complain for defection.
Yes, yes, yes.
Such decision of Honorable Supreme Court is an approval that a citizen has also a locus to say something on the act of elected members. Whereas a person elected as a MLA or MP are elected by the citizens for 5 years, and thereafter he is let free to do whatever he wants, even to the extent he can go to resign to benefit the other side party also. Whether there can be some sort of law originated by the courts even, that the citizens must have a right to recall its elected candidates in such situations.
Mr. Gautam Rakesh, thank you for your good question. Now, what you have said, the people of India can have a right to recall.
Yes.
That is a provision which requires a law.
Yes.
Right to recall would require a law.
Law. Yes.
But
yes.
what the other thing I have noticed, you said that who can file application for disqualification,
Yes.
and you said that anybody can make an application, which was my statement.
Yes.
That was based on the basis of, you can note down, Speaker Odisha Legislative Assembly versus Utkal Kesari Parida.
Yes, sir.
That is reported in AIR 2013 Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
1181.
Yes, sir.
And what I feel, the Honorable Supreme Court had in the back of the mind, what I feel, in my opinion, that the very basis of our constitution, as is spelt in the preamble, is people. We, the people of India. So people is the master. What we feel are big people, MLAs and MPs and MLCs, they are all my representative. The people is the master according to our constitution. And it is a well said proverb that the Indian constitution is a living organism. It's a living document.
Yes. That's true.
And therefore, as a living person, changes its attitude, changes its views according to the situation. What you have said may happen tomorrow. May happen tomorrow. That the right to recall may be given to us, may be given to the people. That will be, I think that will be good. Every representative would be cautious about his activities. I think I have satisfied you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Next question. लिखोगे क्या questions? ठीक जवाब दिए.
No query as such from my side.
Sir, sir.
I, sir, has done each and every important aspect with respect to the subject on which he has spoken in a so simple and lucid manner that it has clarified so many things, sir. And we look forward and I'll request Rahul also to just come out with some good new topic, taking the benefit of such kind of lecture from Mr. Sahai again in near future.
I'm ready. I am ready. Rajiv.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Siddharth from Pune.
Yes, please.
Siddharth, you can turn your kindly turn your camera on. We would like to see you as well.
Yeah, thank you for giving us such a nice, deep knowledge about this democracy topic. And day by day, it is becoming like every day tele and print media.
View is not clear. Rahul.
Yes, no, it is from his end. Siddharth ji, आपका camera.
There is some problem with my camera. Okay.
Okay, so you can switch it off also. Doesn't matter.
Just I would like to know that if what is happening nowadays also, some
Yes.
party membership they are elected on the different tickets on an ex party and MLA, and they are changed the party to fight the MP election. This was happened in 2014 in Jharkhand also, and the Jharkhand Assembly also has taken a suo motu notice to that. So, is that defection law is on that
Just
on
a
this
minute.
topic also?
Mr. Siddharth, I'm not clear. Please tell me once again, please.
So, what happens like a party member, a MLA member
Yes.
is elected on suppose take a Congress party, and after that winning the MP MLA election, they are getting again they are changing the party membership to fight the MP election. So is that anti-defection law is applicable on those kind of issue also?
Yes, 100%. 100%. In the case of Mahachand Prasad Singh versus
Yes, that was also happened.
yes, Mahachand Prasad Singh case, you will, if you have read, you will remember his membership he was disqualified. He was disqualified. He was a MLC.
Yes.
He was a MLC in Bihar from Congress party, and he had filed nomination paper for MP election, Lok Sabha, independent candidate, and on that ground his membership was taken away. He was declared disqualified. He went to the Honorable Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court also upheld that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Do we have any further questions to be asked, or
Some message was there from someone in writing.
Yes.
Have you noticed this? Some message.
yes, sir, in the chat box may have, but then the question doesn't appear to be too clear. I would request Ms. Tamkishwa Singh to, if you kindly be very clear. The question is not very clear to be asked directly by me. Tamisha Singh ji,
I also request members who are not from our legal fraternity. I see from the chat list, I see there are certain persons who are not from the legal field. So I am ready to answer them even in Hindi, English, any language. हम जवाब दे सकते हैं.
I think, sir, we should now conclude. It was a wonderful session by our guest speaker, Sri Anand Sahai, sir. I would now request Sri Manoj Tandon ji, former Additional Advocate General of the State of Jharkhand, to kindly sum up and convey the vote of thanks to our guest speaker and also to the participants here in the webinar.
Thank you,
Over to
Rahul.
Manoj Tandon,
Yes.
sir.
I, on behalf of Jharkhand Legal Fraternity Forum and its entire team, and on my personal behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Mr. R.N. Sahai, sir, Senior Advocate, Jharkhand High Court, to agree to share his views on this occasion in the webinar. Thank you, sir, for sparing this much of time for the webinar and to enlighten us on the 10th schedule of the Constitution of India, which is a burning topic of the day. I also thank especially to his junior, who has been assisting him throughout, as you have noticed on the screen. I also thank Mrs. Darsana Poddar Misra, an Additional Advocate General 1, who was here on the screen. She had just left. Thank you to her for sparing time for this webinar. I also extend my heartiest gratitude to Mr. Mukesh Kumar Sinha, Advocate, and learned Senior Standing Counsel number 1 in the High Court of Jharkhand at Ranchi. I thank Mr. Rahul Sabu, Advocate and Senior and Standing Counsel 1, Jharkhand High Court, who has taken pain, and always he has been taking pains for success of this type of webinar. We have been in fact sitting idle, as was said by Mr. Sahai sir also, but he has made us busy by holding this type of seminar time to time, webinar. So I thank him from my heart. I also thank Mr. Mrinal Kanti Rai, who has spared time for this webinar by welcoming all of us and speaking how he was nurtured by his senior Mr. R.N. Sahai sir. And it is said that a senior advocate is never a senior advocate merely because the High Court has declared him a senior. A senior becomes senior only when he has produced a good junior. And Mrinal Kanti Rai is one of the junior, as I have seen. We have been seeing him in the courtroom. I also thank the entire legal fraternity who have attended this webinar to make it a success. Around 70 persons I have noticed on the screen have attended this webinar. I thank one and all. A special thank to all the media person, maybe print or electronic, is on or off the screen. Because always after this webinar, I am also asked from someone what happened there. So they are also watching. A special thank to them also. I thank the technical staff of Mr. Rahul Sabu, who have been assisting him, because if they are not there, technically we are not able to have a webinar. I thank one and all on and off the screen. I am told that there are some high dignitaries also who may be off the screen. A special thank to them if they are watching us in any manner whatsoever. I extend my heartiest gratitude to all ladies and gentlemen who have spared even a minute for this webinar. Finally, Mr. Sahai, the senior advocate, ladies and gentlemen, once again I want to state that we all are most grateful to all of you. Again, I'm saying on or off the screen, we thank you for being with us. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.
A personal thanks to Mr. Tandon for every word he has spoken for us. Thank you once again, Mr. Tandon, and Sahai sir, no doubt, as a big solid.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you to all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Now we conclude this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Rahul.
Have a nice day.
ठीक है।
तो बढ़िया सर, आप कैसे हैं?
हाँ ठीक है।
इसी बहाने सबको देख ले रहा है आदमी। ठीक है भैया।
हाँ ठीक है।
चलिए ठीक है। और सर?
हाँ हाँ ठीक है।
राहुल जी सुन रहे हैं मुझे? इसमें आप देख रहे हैं राहुल जी। मेरे रेस में तो ऐसे ही नहीं बैठ जाने का, आपका इधर किधर
Thank you.